Today, we're diving into something truly fascinating. We're looking at what happens when a country decides to completely reimagine its justice system from the ground up. Our focus is on New Zealand, where a really compelling story is unfolding, one about blending two very different legal worlds to create something brand new. Okay, so to get this, you really have to understand the two worldviews at play. On one hand, you have English common law, which many of us know. It's often adversarial right, it focuses on individual rights, and it's built on a very specific set of rules. But on the other hand, you have Te Kanga Māori. This is an indigenous legal tradition that's all about being restorative. It prioritizes the harmony of the community and is guided by deeply held cultural values. So, here's the billion-dollar question. What happens when you actually try to weave those two together? And this isn't just a hypothetical. New Zealand is doing this right now. It's a massive national project, and it's creating one of the most unique justice systems on the entire planet. So let's get into how this blend is actually being put into practice. Because this isn't some vague philosophical idea. No, it's a real strategy that is reshaping the very foundations of justice in the country. And this is the most crucial part to understand. None of this is happening by accident. It's a conscious, deliberate choice. The country is building a dual framework system where indigenous legal principles aren't just given a nod, they are formally recognized and integrated right alongside common law. But you might be wondering, how did this even become possible? I mean, a change this big doesn't just happen overnight. To really understand the how, we've got to go back a bit and look at the cultural groundwork that was laid decades ago. See, this wasn't some sudden revolution. The seeds for this shift were really planted back in the 1980s. That's when there were these renewed, intense national conversations about the Treaty of Waitangi, which is the country's founding document. All that dialogue about indigenous rights and cultural recognition, it created what's been called the fertile ground for these massive reforms to finally take root. And from that fertile ground, you get these four key pillars that are now being woven into the modern system. First, it's about making the extended family, the wano, central to solving problems. It's about getting the community involved, with elders helping to guide resolutions. The whole process is grounded in Maori customs and values, or tikanga. And maybe most importantly, it's about focusing on the root cause of an issue, not just punishing the offense itself. Now, these four pillars aren't just ideas on a slide. They are literally supporting a transformative new philosophy that is guiding New Zealand's main court system today. It's called Te Ao Marama, which beautifully translates to the world of light. Now, it's really important to get this. This is not a new, separate court. It's a whole new way of thinking, a new philosophy for how the existing district court should do its job. And just look at the core goal here. This is what's so powerful. It's not just about reaching verdicts or handing down sentences. The primary aim is to completely transform the human experience of the court process itself, to make sure that every single person who walks through those doors feels seen, heard, and truly understood. And in practice, what this philosophy leads to is something called solution-focused judging. It basically means the court's job doesn't end with ruling on a crime. It's about digging deeper to find and hopefully help fix the underlying problems that brought that person to court in the first place. So the court now actively works with people and communities to tackle these really tough root causes. We're talking about things like addiction, mental health challenges, family violence, or even a person's disconnection from their own culture and community. Okay, so that's the big idea, the philosophy. But what does it actually look like when the rubber hits the road? Let's take a look at how these principles are being used in some really innovative, specialized courts. This table gives us two incredible examples. First, you've got Te Koti Rangatahi, or the Rangatahi courts. These are youth courts, but get this, they're held on a mare, which is a traditional Maori meeting ground, and the whole process is guided by community elders. In a similar spirit, you have Pacifica courts, which operate using Pacifica languages and cultural protocols, making sure the process is actually relevant and respectful for young people from those communities. So, when you put all of this together, how different is it really from the Western legal systems most of us are familiar with? Well, the contrasts are pretty stark, and they're absolutely fascinating. So the first huge difference is in the core values. A typical Western model is almost laser-focused on the rights and the freedom of the individual. But in New Zealand's evolving model, there's this profound emphasis on collective harmony and the well-being of the entire family unit, the whanau. And that shift totally changes the role of other people in the room. You know, in a Western court, a mediator is supposed to be this impartial facilitator, right? Just managing the process. But in a court like Te Koti Rangatahi, an elder isn't just a neutral referee. No way. They are an active mentor, there to provide cultural wisdom and guidance to help reconnect a young person with their community. It's a completely different role. So, after all that, what's the big takeaway here? What should we remember? Well, ultimately, it's a story of intentional, thoughtful, and profound change. And here's the key. New Zealand's justice system isn't a finished product. It's in a constant state of thoughtful evolution. It's this powerful, real-world case study of how a country can actively and deliberately re-engineer its core institutions to better reflect its unique bicultural identity. And this quote just nails the ultimate goal. It's all about carefully weaving together these two worlds, the authority of the state and the wisdom of indigenous principles, to create a justice system that is more responsive, more effective, and way more meaningful for every single person it serves. Which, of course, leaves us with a final, really powerful question. New Zealand is proving that it's possible to build a legal system that truly reflects a nation's diverse identity. So if justice can be so fundamentally reimagined here, what could that mean for other pluralistic societies all around the world? Where else could this happen?